that line from the C.A.R. General Counsel, we're taking out any conversation of buyer brokers being compensated to our forms while they remain legal. We're taking them out now. This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 326 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
The last two pods, Nicole, we talked about the C.A.R. California Association of Realtors buyer agreement, then the listing agreement, the red ink, the changes that they were making.
Yep.
Last week, this pod is always recorded Tuesday morning. Haley from BAM does a great job getting this uploaded within couple hours of recording, and it goes live the day of. So things change fast.
Quickly.
We get these up. Last Tuesday,
Who knew?
C.A.R. released an update to the listing agreement. Okay, so we're going to cover that. I guess part of the trilogy of topics here on the C.A.R. form changes. At least C.A.R. is making changes, reacting to feedback, as we are now a month away from August 17th.
31 days.
31 days to be exact. The countdown is here. If you're listening to this pod within the first 24 hours of release, by the way, join us tomorrow for BAM BBQ.
I have it on my calendar. It was so funny because I put BBQ on my calendar.
And you thought you were going to a barbecue?
Well, then I was like, what's BBQ? Where am I headed?
You're about to go to the package store?
I mean, I'm going to the package store regardless. But
Or the
yeah.
liquor store for those of you unfamiliar with what a package store is. BAM BBQ is a free event. Thousands of agents of change have signed up for it to prepare themselves. Maybe your broker or your board is not doing such. Jump into it with us tomorrow. Anyways, there'll be
Do you
a link
get to
below
see
for
who's
that.
on there? Like you'll see, like you take inventory. Like
It's a webinar. It's not like a 5,000 person Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
That's more fun.
You wouldn't be paying attention though. You'd be just sitting there just scrolling for faces you recognize.
That's why I'm just wondering if I'm showing up or not.
Yeah. There's a lot of offices doing office parties too. So
really?
Yeah. We're already hearing
maybe that's
about
what we're
that.
doing. Maybe that's why I have BBQ on my calendar.
We could have a BBQ here. That's no problem with that.
I don't know. Our landlord doesn't let us do that.
That's true. That's true. Our landlord's like the board.
We could do sandwiches.
All right. So we've got an update to the listing agreement.
Yes.
We're going to cover that. Then that's going to tie into the response to NAR from the DOJ. All right. So that's what we're talking about. This newly updated as of last week listing agreement from C.A.R.
Mm-hmm.
Did they make these changes because of DOJ influence? DOJ had an inquiry after the Consumer Federation report on their forms.
Mm-hmm.
DOJ, there's now been a decision on the NAR DOJ stuff. We're going to talk about that. So it all kind of ties into each other. Obviously, I've gone back and forth. Last week, I went back and forth in some of the comments on the form. I think the comments overwhelmingly, even from California agents in the comment section outside of Mr. Bay Area Real Estate, who's still standing firm that this is a great form, even though C.A.R. went ahead and completely changed it.
Right.
Love to know California agents' thoughts now that they took out something very specific in the form. We're going to cover that. But most California agents, to their credit, are on the side with the overwhelming majority, call it 90, 95% of thoughts on looking at that buyer form. We didn't have as much issue with the listing room, with the buyer form.
No, which is interesting
confusing.
that they changed this before they changed the buyer form.
Yeah, so Inman has a story. C.A.R. changes commission sharing on forms following this DOJ inquiry. The two forms that they were able to obtain are the listing agreement as well as the MLS addendum, which explains what the MLS is, benefits, or what it is so that people understand it, okay? Now, the big change you'll see here, Nicole, I have the new one in my hand. You have the old one, okay?
Yeah.
Haley will do a good job of putting these up, showing you the cross outs of what's been removed from the old one. the June revision to the now July revision. By the way, C.A.R. says that all of these revisions are part of a semi-annual look at forms. They do this every year. Shut up.
Do we see,
Everybody's changing the forms.
So I guess, though, we've never seen an original. Have we? Is this the original?
The one you have has all the red ink, so this is the proposed changes from June.
So I'm just saying you and I've never actually seen what Connecticut, what California
original was. Yeah,
correct,
I mean, no, we're not practicing in California. Every state's gonna be a little bit different. So this is, listen, if you haven't seen your state's new forms, I'm in that camp. My state hasn't come out with any new forms.
Neither is our broker.
So this is just interesting to follow the California story. Obviously, the biggest state. California has been known to have a lot of forms. It's interesting to see what they're doing. Are they going to be a leader in form changing for other boards? All this, I think it's just interesting to follow and see which direction that they're heading. Now, on the old form, we put it up here, Haley. This is the listing agreement form. So I had problems with the buyer agreement, had 24 different sections of compensation. It was hard to follow all of that. The listing agreement, the June revision, you see it on the screen now, had section C for compensation, and then you went from C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. C, 5, 6, and 7 have been removed completely. Section C5.
And D.
And D was also basically removed. There's a D on the new form, but it's a totally different category. It's an inclusion-exclusion category.
They moved everything down.
So you're right. D, for what it was, is removed.
Completely gone.
So section C5 was, in their first revision, total compensation to broker unless otherwise agreed in writing. Shall or pay broker, that's removed. Continuation of right to compensate has been bumped up. So that C6 is there.
Which is good because that's covering you. After the expiration.
Yeah.
Yep.
C7, seller obligation to pay previous brokers. That is still there. So what was removed then? Optional additional compensation, if any, that's removed, actually, which was C2. Optional additional compensation, if any, to seller's broker to be offered to buyer's broker. Out.
Gone.
So anything that identifies compensation going to the buyer broker,
gone.
Completely removed. Section D used to read on the old form, optional seller concessions.
Yeah, gone.
Seller authorizes broker to put in the MLS that seller is willing to consider offers asking for concessions.
Right.
With amount of X% or $ flat amount. Okay. So anything in the from the old agreement, listing agreement, not old, the
original draft.
The original draft,
dated
which is
6/24.
Which is revised 6/24, and this was revised 7/24, meaning July 2024.
Do you need water? Yeah, right over there.
I have water. I may go to it.
Yeah, you should.
Now the new form has these sections: compensation to seller's broker, and it says only seller side of transaction. That's C1. C2, additional compensation to seller's broker if buyer is unrepresented. C3, continuation of right to compensation for broker identified prospective buyers. C4, seller obligation to pay previous brokers. Now, they also changed the description. We had a comment. San Diego Real Estate 2024 commented on last week's episode. At 44 minutes, I pointed this discrepancy out in the forums training webinar back in June. Haley, if you want to play the clip of my discrepancy from last week, real estate commissions include all compensation and fees to broker. So why does it say buyer? Because the seller can negotiate too. And this is a listing agreement. I'm in the listing agreement.
4B.
I'm on C, just where it gives you compensation, the notice. It says they are so.
Well, because A is just like you're just giving a seller side, the seller side. So if they are unrepresented, are you giving?
I'm just saying. I'm signing a listing agreement right now.
Yeah.
As a seller, it should be clear that the compensation that you and I are about to go over is negotiable.
Well, all of it's negotiable. Yeah.
I know, but it says between buyer and broker. So it's just a little weird that the language there.
Okay.
It was around my discrepancy was that in section C on the first revision, they said this is the listing agreement and they're set by broker individually, may be negotiable between buyer and broker. So now they've changed that language. It didn't make any sense.
No
the
sense.
amount or rate of real estate commissions is not fixed by law. They are set by each broker individually and may be negotiable between seller and broker. Now with the new form, it makes complete sense, Nicole, because they're not addressing
nothing
compensation
at all.
Optionality. And they use the word option in the first one to a buyer broker.
I'm wondering though, if you're allowed to, because they do have a spot on here for additional, like I wonder if you can add it in the additional terms. You're right over there?
I mean, I guess in additional terms.
Right here, L, additional terms.
And it's just a blank area.
Correct. Yeah. I would just sneak it in there.
So if a seller wants to add it in there, can they? Is a question that you would present.
Is my question, correct. Because I mean, because now are we prohibiting our sellers from offering out a compensation? Because let's be honest too, if you pull up the buyer broker that California is having their agents, I'm sure it references those options.
Well, here is, I don't even want to get into their buyer broker form
I know.
again.
You're done? You're over it?
They need to change that.
You'll need more water for that.
We'll cover that.
You don't have enough water.
Here are the quotes.
Yeah.
From the California Association General Counsel Brian Manson. I'd love for the California agents to jump in. How do you feel about your general counsel here? Here are the quotes that Inman was able to obtain. While numerous changes have been made to these forms, a lot of changes from June to July.
A few.
Some significant changes.
Significant. I would say significant, yes.
While a number of changes, we anticipate one change in particular. Removing the listing broker's offer of compensation to a buyer broker from these forms will become important in the near future.
Well, I mean, the future's here, then it sounds like.
General counsel says these are important.
It's gone.
Is he alluding to DOJ? We'll get into that.
Yeah.
After careful and thoughtful deliberation, this is still general counsel for C.A.R. Love to know, California agents, how you feel. C.A.R. has concluded that members and their clients are best served by making informed compensation decisions without relying on historically common practices. While we recognize that offers of compensation among brokers remain legal, our goal with this change is to be proactive, looking ahead to where real estate practices are moving. That line from the C.A.R. General Counsel, we're taking out any conversation of buyer brokers being compensated to our forms. While they remain legal, we're taking them out now because we're projecting into the future that they won't be legal and that we're going to be a leader and get ahead of this, even though DOJ hasn't ruled on it. We're going to go ahead and put the nail in our own coffin. We're going to go ahead, C.A.R., California Association of Realtors, General Counsel, who's applauding the board for making this decision. We're going to go ahead, remove buyer broker compensation as an optionality in the contract.
Well, it's not even an option anymore.
Which also removes, the optionality of it, not an option.
Correct.
Which also removes sellers' right to freedom of how they want to speak about their offering, their transaction. It makes it harder for them to have that option. Certainly makes it less transparent. Does that option exist? I can't read it in black and white.
Right.
Is it available to me?
Right.
Can I do it?
It's awful.
Am I doing something in the gray by putting it into additional comments or additional...
or are you doing something fishy, agent, that I'm just meeting and like...
Why do you want to address what you say to me is an option in additional terms, Section J, which additional terms, Section J... I mean, you could bring it up, Haley, additional terms, Section J. It is one line. I mean, in fairness, it's two lines. You'd have to write like Minnie Mouse on here.
Oh, my Lord. You don't know how to write like Minnie Mouse?
The only thing I could fit on here is Nicole, what are you bringing to BAM Barbecue? That's about all I could fit on here. Okay.
I mean, it's always vodka. That you know the answer to that.
I'll tell you, Nicole,
I mean,
it's
come
gonna
on
be
now. You know
Tito's.
what the answer is. No.
Goose.
No.
Kettle.
Yeah.
Belvedere. All of it.
Brian does Belvedere. That's a little fancy for me.
Okay.
Anyway.
So
I agree because I think because it's interesting because what we talked about last week was the fact that we loved the idea of sending our clients all the forms. So if they were a seller, remember we were going to send them the buyer broker. We were going to.
Yeah.
So if it's addressing it in the buyer broker, but it's not addressing it now in the listing.
Right now they're addressing it in the buyer broker as an option to negotiate it into the deal.
Right.
So I guess what California, without seeing an updated buyer broker, I guess what California is saying is if the buyers put this into the purchase, you're going to negotiate commission while you're negotiating purchase. You're going to do it later on. You're not going to have a plan up front. As a seller, I want to say, here's where I'm at.
Oh, for sure.
And I want
let's know exactly. I mean, any good agent is doing a net proceeds sheet. Like let's do it properly.
I want to know my numbers up front. I want to
Right.
come into a negotiation with strength.
Right.
I don't want to be having to I don't want to be talking about your number. I want to be talking about my number, where my position, and if you have a counter to my position, I may consider, hear it, look at it. We'll see where we're at. We'll see where the market's at. We'll see kind of what competition we're dealing
Right.
with, and I can make a decision there. But I want to present those terms. I'm the one making an offer out to the market with my property. Manson emphasized the need for the industry to adapt to the changes brought about by legal and regulatory attention on the real estate industry's commission structure. C.A.R. needs to lead the way within the industry. This general counsel for C.A.R. is not giving good counsel.
No.
I was going to say something else, but you were laughing and I said, I will hold back.
I kind of knew where you were headed with it.
Needs to lead the way within the industry. Okay.
I feel like he's trying to he's gearing himself up for his next step.
I think he's creating this is hyperbole and this is a complete prediction, but I think he is gearing himself up to build an attorney firm to represent all buyers.
He's gearing up for something.
Yeah.
He's looking to be the guy. He wants to be the guy.
C.A.R. has always been the leader in forms that got completely shredded by everybody in the industry except for one agent in the Bay Area, according to all of the feedback that I've seen on the internet. Okay, by doing so, we will. And by the way, Bay Area of Real Estate, still love you. I saw the long post on last week. I can't imagine you're going to defend this one. I know you mostly do flips. I read your post. It was a beautiful post. Be happy to talk to you at any time. By doing so...
Oh, you actually read it?
I did.
Oh.
I know you read it too.
I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. I'm struggling on YouTube.
It's long. By doing so, we will get through this moment. We will need to... we do what we need to do to adapt, emerge even stronger. Listen, this C.A.R. General Counsel, I mean, just put a nail in C.A.R. agents. Way to go. The C.A.R. and its attorneys appear to be in disarray. This is from Stephen Brobeck, the CFA Senior Fellow, with sharp criticism not only from DOJ and consumer advocates, but also from many California realtors. It's not just me saying California realtors are critical of what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's the CFA who says they don't know what they're doing with their forms. They're the first ones that came out with this. Okay? This criticism has left a mark. The July 9 forms have major differences from earlier ones. So I said they're walking it back. Now they've potentially walked it too far back, not giving consumers enough options, hiding options from consumers. This new form is hiding options from consumers.
Absolutely.
D in the last form said optional seller concessions. Can a seller option to make concessions? Right. Now D is items to be included and excluded. Nicole, will you leave the propane tank? Very important here.
Well,
as we get to Section D of the listing agreement.
I mean, it is kind of important.
Can't you do an inclusion-exclusion addendum?
Oh, for sure.
You need to have it on page 1 of your listing agreement. By the way, now I hate the listing agreement form. You don't need to have inclusion exclusion.
I hate inclusion exclusion
on page
forms.
1 of a listing agreement. You're contracting me.
Yeah. Well, and then you're also, I mean, I guess maybe probably filling out an MLS input form. So this is essentially like your input form and your listing agreement.
And it's all mixed on page 1. We go from compensation to
included, excluded,
that AC,
and then back to marketing. You would think that would be more.
Will you leave it?
And then your duties. Your duties are less important than your smart home features. Yeah, that is interesting. Why do they have that on there?
The new listing agreement removes references to seller concessions. Instead, though, Nicole, this language has been moved to the 2-page MLS addendum, whose terms and conditions are incorporated as part of the 7-page listing agreement, bringing the total number of pages sellers must read to 9. Okay, so on the 2-page MLS addendum, it has the ability for the concession. Okay.
Oh. So why are they putting it separate?
The MLS addendum, separate form.
Yep.
What is the MLS? All of that. Public marketing with clear cooperation. It covers that. Coming soon status. Seller instructs broker. Seller instructs broker to market the property.
But they have MLS and public marketing already on here as part F.
There's some redundancy for sure. For sure. Seller election, seller concessions. Okay. Seller authorization. Seller does not authorize broker to put in the MLS. Sellers will consider offers asking for concessions. Or 2, seller authorized broker to put in MLS. That seller is willing to consider offers asking for concessions.
I didn't know that there was an addendum.
If allowed under the MLS rules, even if permitted by the MLS, no amount of the possible concession will be stated in MLS, either as a percent or price of flat fee, unless seller notifies broker in writing of the amount. Okay, so this form does not allow the concession form for us to sign an amount. The seller would have to put into writing. Maybe they write you a letter and mail it to you.
A letter?
Maybe they text it to you.
They have stamps? I don't have stamp. I never have a stamp.
Maybe they text it to you. Maybe they email it to you. Maybe they write it on a napkin when you're at the dining room table.
Or maybe can you come prepared with a letter?
Or maybe you could come prepared with an addendum not provided by your board. C.A.R.
So now it's 10 pages.
C.A.R. is saying, I am not going to support the forms for the agents to create this option for consumers. We're going to try to restrict this option. That's what they're going to do. Okay. Now, they're trying to restrict this option because of their advice from their counsel, who says we're getting ready to be a leader in what is coming, okay? What is coming is some more DOJ pressure, okay? When asked about the DOJ pressure, Ed Zorn, General Counsel for California Regional MLS, praised the changes as courageous. These are courageous changes, Nicole.
Yeah.
Ed Zorn from California Regional MLS. C.A.R. has made this commitment, and we're not going to facilitate or create realtor-created documents that continues the old practice, Zorn said. So this is from the MLS. Personally, I think it's a wise move, supportive of this transition from commission sharing. And this is when he was asked about the DOJ's concerns. That was his commentary. So this is all in line with what is happening with DOJ. Okay, DOJ announced, or there was an announcement rather, last week that the DOJ is now allowed to reopen investigation into the National Association of Realtors. U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. has officially denied NAR request for rehearing of the decision, allowing DOJ to reopen its investigation into the org. This ruling was handed down on Friday, July the 12th, marks the latest chapter in DOJ versus NAR battle. This is bigger than the August 17th settlement because remember, DOJ has said already publicly that they're not sure if the August 17th hundreds of billion, of dollar settlement here, millions of dollars. I'm sorry. The verdict was multiple billions.
Right. Now
hundreds of millions in settlements have been agreed to. Don't know if this went far enough. That's DOJ. Okay. So You can look. We'll put the link down below if you want the full timeline from November 2020, when a lot of this, happened. They agreed to a settlement, had a settlement in the previous administration. Obviously, when you get a new president, you get new mandates from the executive branch for the DOJ. DOJ hasn't been a mandate of go after real estate. The mandate was basically go after as much business in America as you possibly can. New president in office, the DOJ withdrew the settlement. An absolutely historic, unprecedented move that happened in July 2021. Argument that settlement terms put undue restrictions onto regulators, preventing their investigation rules they deem harmful. They agreed to the settlement, then backed out of it. NAR's had a big problem with that. They've petitioned, and there was at one point they had a 2-1 vote. That was April 2024. Panel ruled 2-1 favor of DOJ. Petition from NAR again. DOJ responded to the petition, stated that a rehearing is not warranted. Now, July, NAR's request for rehearing was officially denied. You've got a article that came out Sunday in the Wall Street Journal. The DOJ asked, does the landmark real estate settlement go far enough? With the real estate industry poised to abandon its longstanding commission structure next month, the Justice Department signaling it isn't done scrutinizing how real estate agents get paid. The industry has battled many lawsuits alleging that the system for compensating agents. Listen, DOJ, now the settlement doesn't get finalized until November.
Are you lightheaded? Jesus.
There's a lot going on.
There you are, like, the steam coming out of your head right now is like...
This has been just a complete blunder. So,
to say the least.
So November is when the settlement will get... Expectations are the judge will approve it. The judge has to approve the settlement.
Right.
NAR has agreed, we're going to go ahead of November approval time, make these changes August 17th.
But, like, what are they? We don't even know.
We know what the changes are, but...
Correct.
With August 17th approaching, it is more important than ever for agents to keep their clients, not just for the transaction, but for life. So I believe so much in what Reminder Media is doing. They're creating content that allows you to stay in front of your sphere of influence, the clients that you've transacted with in the past, so that they think of you first when they have a referral, when they have another transaction. A lot of people send a just sold or a just closed realtor talk mail. Reminder Media supports agents like Nicole, my co-host on The Real Word, in building out an authentic magazine where you can advertise your own properties. Here's an example of our award-winning luxury new development that we have in Connecticut. Put it right on the back and put in a whole bunch of relevant information. You can build out the content inside of your magazine and send it to maybe people you're following up with to get a listing, or people who are in your database right now who know you but might just forget about you because you're mixing in with all the postcards from the other agents. Reminder Media keeps you top of mind with the people that you want as clients for life. That's why we believe in so much of how they're helping agents just like you stand out. Go to remindermedia.com/BAM sample. Remindermedia.com/BAM sample today to get your sample and start reminding your clients exactly who you are today. What Nicole, you're saying is, what are they for my state?
Well, right. I mean, if California's already doing that, what are we working with here?
Well, most states, I'd love to know if your state has provided you any resources or your broker has provided you any resources as of yet. There were people thankful that we posted that EXP toolkit. We're not EXP.
We're not EXP.
We are not EXP.
Nope.
We have no affiliations with EXP. In fact, EXP CEO, I was standing next to him face to face, asked him come on. NAR's president has come on my CEO. Many CEOs have come on. He didn't want to come on.
I mean, they're probably still
Glenn Sanford wouldn't come on. So I am not pro EXP propaganda. I love their form.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the buyer form.
Well, and their website was all of it.
And their toolkit. They've actually given tools,
resources
to their agents. So I'm gonna applaud somebody when they're doing a fantastic job. Okay, there have been a lot of boards that haven't done anything. August 17th feels like it's coming up too quick. My point is, why would you go ahead and make the changes August 17th when it's not, the settlement's not even approved till November? And by the way, in early November,
I don't
Nicole,
know, maybe you should mail in your ballot. Like,
is anything
sooner rather than
happening
later.
in early November?
I mean, things are happening in November.
There is a election happening in November. If you're unaware, okay, maybe you
I think
deleted.
after this weekend, it's nearly impossible for you not to know.
It is absolutely impossible for you not to understand what's going on. I would
Yeah.
imagine there could be, who knows? There's at least a coin flip chance that there's going to be a new DOJ mentality. Probably a lot of good people at the DOJ, I'm sure.
No, I mean, you say there are.
Of course.
Of course.
I don't happen to know anybody, but I'm sure that there are some very good ones, hardworking Americans working at the DOJ at multiple levels throughout. There might be, though, a new mentality from the top, potentially come, November and a potential president switch in January, because it happens in January. Mm-hmm. Not much happens between November to January if you get a new president. It's kind of like a lame duck 2 months.
I mean, that's kind of like the Northeast. It's snowy. Everyone just kind of hibernates.
You're kind of just like, okay, we're not going to make dramatic changes. So could you argue, hey, our settlement, meaning the NAR settlement, doesn't even get approved till potentially November. You've got DOJ wanting to maybe take it to another level. Could you not, NAR, could you not get some attorneys together and push this thing out 3-4 months? This is a historic settlement with multiple hundreds of millions of dollars involved. Maybe there needs to be more time. MLSs overwhelmingly haven't shown me they're ready. Forms, California is just running out of red ink.
Well, when we,
over there on the West
if you
Coast.
think about it, even on our MLS, we swapped over from I don't even know what we were on to something else, and like I could still pay to stay on the original one, but even that was delayed like 4 times.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
mean the new MLS from the old one? Yeah,
yeah.
And you've got boards changing forms. You've got forms that need to be uploaded and into technology, whether you're on some type of SkySlope or dot loop or whatever you're on. Mosaic, shout out to Mosaic. That's where our forms are going here shortly. So
It's coming.
I would encourage them to push this out as far as they can to see if the DOJ has this type of hatred towards salespeople, towards business.
Well, what'll be
towards
interesting though
incentives
is we would have this change in August, and then potentially we could have a whole nother change
from
then.
the DOJ.
Right. So, that's where it gets a little frustrating.
I'd push this out further to see where the DOJ, what their mandate's going to be when it comes to business. They have tried to stop mergers and acquisitions in this country, stop business in meaningful way. Throughout the last 3+ years. And this is another sign of it. Unfortunately for the real estate industry, it impacts your consumers more than anything by not having all the options available. See, I like parts of the settlement. I like having all options available.
Right.
I like the option of doing whatever I want with my property.
Right.
But don't hide options from me.
Right.
Don't make it unavailable to my eye that I have to say, are these the only 4 options or are there other options?
Right. I want to offer something. But again, there's the addendum. So I'm happy that there's at least
So there's
an
the addendum, but I have to now put something in writing to you. You're bringing me 9 pages of paperwork. Can't we get it
I know.
in
That's just interesting.
something?
So very interesting.
Can we put it in something that you're
But
bringing me?
we're
Why
gonna
do I have to send you a text?
But
Nicole?
we are including your washer and dryer on here. So that's important.
How about the AC in the wall? Are you going to be making sure that stays with the property?
I think that it's really old and you can have that. Yes.
I think it's giving off moldy vibes.
I'm certain of it.
All right, join us tomorrow, Bam BBQ. If
I'll
you're seeing
be
this in the
there.
first
I'm
24
excited. I'm
hours,
kind of bummed that I don't get to see all the
Nicole will
faces.
be there. You should pop in with me. I'll be doing it right from here, Nicole, here in the office.
Boy.
Bring some, maybe bring some
kettle?
Some kettle one if you want.
Or do you want me to bring a hamburger?
Bring a hamburger. Do hamburgers. We'll get in trouble again.
We will.
Bam BBQ, sign up completely free. We'll be doing a bunch of giveaways during the event. And of course, if you want to join the cause for agents of change, pushing back on things like this, opening up the conversation that need to be heard. Join the community with BAMX. Use code REALWORD to get 10% off your BAMX.
Real Estate Jason already commented back.
Real Estate Jason. Shout out to Real Estate Jason. Nicole says,
I don't ever read comments. And then he kind of bit at me. And I am a little embarrassed because I think my YouTube name is Nicole White 5807.
Nicole doesn't log into YouTube, Jason. So maybe if you've got 4 numbers like at the end of your YouTube name.
It. I'm going to update
all
that.
you have to do is do what Nicole's going to do. Go into her profile and try to figure that out.
It's going to take me all day to figure it out, but I'm going to do it for you.
But
anyway.
Any thoughts for Jason?
Oh, yeah, I threw him out there. I said, love you.
Love you. Love you, Jason. Love you guys. Keep it real.
See you guys.